The starfield stretched endlessly, a sea of blinking lights in the black ocean of space. The Galactic Assembly had never encountered a species quite like humans. They were small, fragile-looking creatures on a pale blue world, armed only with primitive technology by galactic standards. Yet whispers among the assembly spoke of something unusual, something dangerous. Captain Vetra of the Zorith fleet stared at the monitor aboard the Tethrion, her elongated limbs tensing. Before her floated the human vessel, a small, unassuming ship that looked laughably simple compared to the Zorith dreadnoughts. Its hull bore scratches and dents, marks of a species still learning the stars. "They've sent a single scout?" she hissed, incredulous. "Do they think this spec can challenge the assembly?" Her second-in-command, Clorin, clicked his multifaceted eyes over the readings. Sensors indicate minimal weaponry, low-class engines, and almost no shields. This is a primitive species. Observation only. Nothing to worry about. Vetra's mandibles twitched. "I want to board it. I want to see what makes them tick. But be careful. Don't underestimate them." Meanwhile, aboard the human ship Horizon, Commander Elias Hart adjusted the controls. The vessel shuddered as it entered the Zorith sector, a maze of asteroid fields and gravitational anomalies. The humans had come not to conquer, they had come to learn, to explore, but Elias knew that curiosity alone wouldn't be enough. "Status?" Lieutenant Arya Chen called from the navigation console. Her voice, calm but firm, carried a confidence that only humans seem to possess naturally. "All systems nominal. Sensors detect multiple large ships. Probably a welcoming committee," Elias said dryly. A hint of humor played on his lips, but his green eyes were alert. "Everyone remember what I said. They see us as weak. That's our advantage." The Zorith fleet moved with precision. Their ships glimmered with crystalline armor, engines pulsing like living hearts. But humans, small and seemingly fragile, maneuvered with unpredictability. While Zorith vessels followed strict formations, humans zigzagged, ducked, and darted through asteroid belts, exploiting gravitational shifts the aliens ignored. Vetra's sensors tracked the horizon. How are they moving so precisely without formation protocols?" she murmured. Her crew murmured among themselves, uneasy. Elias activated the ship's communications. A holographic projection shimmered into existence. A tall, broad-shouldered human in a standard Federation uniform. "Greetings," he said, voice calm but commanding. "We come in peace. But if you intend aggression, know this: humans do not surrender lightly." Vetra raised an eyebrow. "Do not surrender? They're alone. They cannot harm us." These words are meaningless. The human ship glided closer to the Zorith mothership. Sensors began to pick up anomalies, systems interference, unpredictable energy fluctuations. The humans were not just moving. They were rewriting the rules of engagement without firing a single shot. What is happening to our sensors?" Clorin shrieked. "They're altering our readings. Our shields, our weapons, nothing is behaving normally." Elias smirked. "Sometimes the mind is the most powerful weapon." He tapped a console, sending a signal that disrupted the Zorith fleet's coordination. Lights flickered, ships shuddered. The aliens' confidence wavered. "Impossible," Vetra hissed. This tiny, insignificant species is interfering with our ships, without weapons?" The humans were not reckless. They were calculated, adaptable, using every ounce of intelligence, intuition, and ingenuity they possessed. Their small vessel moved like a predator among prey, exploiting every weakness the Zorith didn't even know existed. And then, with a boldness that stunned the aliens, Elias transmitted a direct challenge. "If you wish to test your strength against ours, you are welcome. But be warned, underestimating humans is dangerous." The Zorith ships paused. A silence spread through the command deck of the mothership. For the first time, doubt had entered the minds of the Assembly's finest warriors. And humans, smiling quietly in the void, had already begun writing the first chapter of a story the galaxy would never forget. The battle had not yet begun, but the first blow had been struck, and it was invisible, intellectual, and devastating. The void of space had never been so tense. Stars streaked past the horizon as it danced through asteroid fields, weaving with a grace that belied its small frame. The Zorith fleet, massive and intimidating, surrounded the human vessel like predators encircling a lone rabbit, but Elias Hart was no prey. "Status report," Elias said, voice steady, betraying none of the adrenaline coursing through him. Lieutenant Arya Chen's fingers flew over the control panels. "All systems optimal. Sensors show gaps in their formation. They're overconfident. We can exploit this. Exploit? Elias repeated, almost to himself. Exactly. The Zorith fleet commander, Captain Vetra, growled through her mandibles. They are interfering with our ship's systems. Oh. Their weapons are insignificant, yet our shields fluctuate. Our engines misfire. This is unacceptable. Clorin, her second-in-command, looked panicked. It's their coordination. Their movement patterns are unpredictable. They think in ways we cannot. Their minds... Stop, Vetra snapped, but her voice trembled. For the first time she felt the creeping tendrils of fear. Elias's eyes scanned the holographic display. Arya, open channel alpha. Let's give them a demonstration of human creativity. Arya's fingers danced across the console. On the mothership, alarms screamed. Zorith vessels shuddered violently as electronic pulses, invisible yet devastating, rippled through their systems. Weapons locked up, engines misfired, shields fluctuated erratically. The humans had not fired a single shot, yet the aliens were in disarray. What sorcery is this? Vetra roared. We are masters of quantum warfare. How can a primitive species? They're not primitive, Clorin whispered. His voice was awed, fearful. They're exploiting flaws in our logic. In our assumptions. They think differently. Elias leaned forward. Captain Vetra, it seems your confidence is your weakness. You see humans as fragile, simple. But when cornered, we do not surrender. We adapt. We innovate. And we strike, where you least expect. Vetra's eyes widened. They know impossible. They should not. Their vessel is small? Yes, Elias replied. But small can be dangerous. Then came the first real blow. Using a combination of gravitational manipulation and electromagnetic pulses, the horizon twisted through the Zorith formation, forcing two massive warships to collide. The impact sent debris and energy surges cascading through the fleet. The aliens had underestimated the humans' understanding of physics, engineering, and spatial strategy. Vetra's mandibles snapped in frustration. They are dismantling our fleet without weapons. This is only the beginning, Elias said quietly. We've learned your tactics in minutes. You've spent centuries developing your strategies, and yet we can outthink you. In the Zorith command chamber, panic spread. Ambassadors from other species whispered urgently. The humans, they are not what we expected, one said. They are dangerous. Dangerous? Another hissed. They are tiny, insignificant. How can they threaten a fleet? Vetra growled, her pride wounded. Observe, then learn, before it's too late. The humans weren't merely surviving, they were teaching a lesson in strategy. While the Zorith relied on overwhelming firepower and rigid formations, humans exploited improvisation, intuition, and the element of unpredictability. The horizon darted through asteroid belts, using environmental hazards as both shield and weapon. A single well-timed maneuver sent another cruiser spinning into a gravity well. The aliens scrambled to react, but every prediction failed. Elias's crew worked in near-perfect synchrony. Arya, adjust trajectory for the next pulse. Dalton, prepare the ion decoys. Everyone else, maintain optimal shields. We move as one but think as many. The human's voice commands were precise, crisp, every word a signal, every movement a tactic. In the mothership, the Zorith struggled to understand what they were seeing. Their coordination. It's organic, yet flawless, muttered Clorin. Organic? Vetra hissed. They're machines of war, not people. They are thinking, Clorin whispered. And when humans think they do not follow rules, they rewrite them. Suddenly, a transmission reached the horizon. It was not the Zorith, they were too disoriented. It was another species observing the battle. The Clithery, a race of telepathic diplomats who rarely interfered in combat. Their voice was cautious, tinged with awe. Humans, they are not like any other species. If they survive this encounter, the balance of power in the sector will change. Elias smiled faintly at the warning. Good. Let them watch. Let them learn. Humanity thrives under pressure. As the battle continued, Vetra realized the truth too late. Humans were more than their fragile appearance suggested. They were adaptable, fearless, and capable of seeing solutions no alien mind had considered. Every strike, every maneuver revealed layers of ingenuity the galaxy had never encountered. For the first time in centuries, a species underestimated by the Assembly was not just surviving, they were turning the tide. And the galaxy would take notice. Elias Hart knew the fight was far from over. The Horizon was a single ship in a sea of enemies, but humans, he thought, had never needed numbers to win, because humans were dangerous when cornered. And now, the corners were closing. The aftermath of the initial engagement rippled through the Galactic Assembly like a shockwave. Holographic communications flickered across the chambers of the most powerful species in the sector. Delegates whispered, argued, and fumed. A single human ship, and already the Zorith fleet, the pride of their armada, was crippled. "This is unprecedented," said High Ambassador Teruel of the Crichton Concord. His 6 eyes narrowed at the projections of the Horizon weaving through Zorith ships, leaving chaos in its wake. "I have seen battles across 10 systems, yet never have I witnessed strategy so fluid. They are adapting in real time." Across the chamber, Ambassador Riltra of the Soren Guild scoffed. "They are small, fragile, insignificant. One vessel cannot represent a species. It is a fluke, a lucky maneuver." Teruel shook his head. "A fluke? No. Look at the coordination, the precision. They exploit every weakness of our calculations, our assumptions. The humans think differently. Dangerously differently." Meanwhile, aboard the Horizon, Commander Elias Hart and his crew prepared for the next phase. They knew the Zorith would retaliate in full force, and more importantly, the Assembly would now be watching. Humans had made themselves visible. "Sensors indicate reinforcements," Arya Chin said. Her fingers danced over the console, highlighting dozens of warships warping into position. "The Zorith are not alone. Entire squadrons from allied races are converging on our location." Elias nodded. "Good. That means we have an audience. And humans always perform best under pressure." Dalton, the ship's engineer, raised a concern. "Pressure is one thing. Numbers are another. We can't outgun them, Captain. Not by conventional means." "Conventional means," Elias said, voice calm, almost teasing, "are exactly what the Assembly expects. That's why they fail before they even fight. Prepare the tactical grid. We're going to make them chase ghosts." The Horizon moved with preternatural precision. Asteroid fields became shields, gravitational anomalies became traps, and every maneuver forced the alien fleet into miscalculations. But it wasn't just about survival. Humans were learning, studying, predicting patterns in alien strategy that no machine could compute. Back in the Assembly, panic spread like wildfire. "If humans can do this with a single ship, imagine what an entire fleet could accomplish," Teruel whispered almost to himself. "We cannot allow them to remain underestimated." On the battlefield, a Zorith dreadnought attempted a direct assault. Its crystalline cannons fired in synchronized volleys, the energy streaks cutting through the void. The humans anticipated the pattern, luring the dreadnought through a belt of magnetic asteroids. The massive ship's weapons malfunctioned, its own shields collapsing under their gravitational interference. The Horizon slipped through the wreckage unharmed. Vetra's fury boiled. "Enough. Focus all firepower. Destroy them." Clorin hesitated. "Captain, we cannot. They anticipate us. They use our strength against us." "This is unacceptable," Vetra snapped, but doubt lingered. Her fleet faltered, coordination breaking apart under the humans' unpredictable maneuvers. Elias initiated a maneuver the aliens couldn't anticipate. Using a combination of quantum decoys, sensor jamming, and precise bursts from the Horizon's modest thrusters, he created the illusion of multiple ships where there was only one. Zorith sensors detected dozens of targets, splitting fire across phantoms. "Captain," Arya said, voice sharp, "they're falling for it." "Focused on the decoys." "Good," Elias said with a faint smile. "Now the next step." In the Assembly, alarmed species began proposing action. "We must intervene," cried one ambassador. "If humans survive this engagement, they will change the balance of power across the sector. We must act before their cunning spreads." Teruel, the wise Crichton diplomat, shook his head. "Intervention is risky. The humans are small, yes, but their minds are unparalleled. Corner them and they become monsters. Perhaps it is wiser to observe, to study them first. They are not like any species we have encountered." The humans pressed their advantage. Exploiting the confusion of the alien fleet, the Horizon struck critical systems, disabling weapons and engines without destroying ships outright. No lives were lost, yet the psychological impact was catastrophic. The alien commanders realized, horrified, that humans didn't just fight. Humans taught. Humans dismantled entire strategies using intellect alone. Vetra, seething with rage and humiliation, contacted the Horizon directly. "Human, you are insignificant. You are small. Yet somehow you have brought my fleet to ruin. Explain yourself. Elias's hologram flickered into existence, calm and confident. We are human. We are small, yes, and fragile by your standards. But we think, we adapt, we endure. And when cornered, we do not surrender. You see us as weak. That is your mistake. That is why humans are dangerous. A silence fell over the battlefield. Even as the alien fleets regrouped, the message had sunk in. They were dealing with a species unlike any they had encountered. One that refused the rules of engagement, that rewrote the game entirely. In that moment, the humans had achieved more than survival. They had earned respect, a grudging, fearful respect, from every species observing the conflict. And as the horizon maneuvered through the wreckage, Elias knew the assembly would be watching humanity's next move with trepidation. Because humans were no longer just survivors in space. They were architects of strategy, predators of intellect, and masters of unpredictability. And the galaxy had only just begun to realize what it meant to face a cornered human. The Galactic Assembly had convened an emergency session. Holochambers flickered with anxious delegates from 100 star systems, all fixated on the reports from the Zorith sector. One human ship, the Horizon, had reduced the pride of the Zorith fleet to chaos without losing a single crew member. High Ambassador Terrell's 6 eyes scanned the room, observing the murmurs, the nervous gestures, the fear and awe rippling through species unused to seeing a single ship do what fleets of warships could not. This is no longer about power, he said quietly to his aide. This is about comprehension. The humans are beyond anything we have catalogued. They do not conform to our models, our predictions. They are a wild variable. Across the chamber, Vetra's mandibles twitched. She had returned from the battlefield in disgrace. Her once proud fleet now limped back to their staging grounds, scattered and damaged. They will pay, she hissed to Clorin. One vessel and my fleet faltered. But humanity is small, fragile. They cannot withstand a united assault. We must strike together. But not all species agreed. Ambassador Riltra of the Soaring Guild argued furiously, her crystalline appendages shaking. Strike? Strike now and we risk their fury. We have observed their tactics. Humans cornered are unpredictable, dangerous. We will awaken a force we cannot contain. Derwell leaned forward, his tone measured. Perhaps diplomacy is wiser. Humans understand negotiation. They wield intellect like a weapon. Strike and we risk cornering them. Diplomacy gives us a chance to learn, to prepare, to survive. Underestimate them no longer. The assembly must consider caution. Meanwhile, aboard the Horizon, Elias Hart monitored the communications array. The humans had no intention of retreat, yet they understood the subtle power of perception. Humanity thrived not only in battle but in politics. Knowledge, strategy, and foresight were as much weapons as lasers or missiles. Captain, Arya Chin said, her voice calm, we are receiving a transmission from the assembly. It's a proposal. They want to negotiate. Elias leaned back, considering. A proposal? Let them come. Let them see who we are, what we can do. Humans do not back down from words any more than we do from fire. Prepare the negotiation protocols. I want a full analysis of their fleet positions. And yes, set a subtle display of our capabilities. The assembly dispatched a delegation, a ship larger and more imposing than any human vessel had ever seen. It hovered near the asteroid field where the Horizon had used debris and gravity wells to survive previous attacks. From its bridge, Vetra and representatives from 3 other powerful species observed the humans cautiously. The humans opened a communication channel. Holograms flickered into existence. Elias Hart, flanked by Arya Chin, Dalton, and 2 tactical officers. Elias's posture was relaxed, but every movement conveyed authority and confidence. Welcome, Elias said, voice calm, resonant. We are human. We understand that our arrival has caused concern. We have no desire to dominate without cause. But we will not surrender and we will not bow to fear. Humans are dangerous when cornered, and yet we prefer reason to combat. Vetra's mandibles snapped in irritation. Do not lecture us, human. Your fleet is insignificant. Your diplomacy is irrelevant. Insignificant. Elias said, a faint smile curling at his lips. Perhaps. But perception is only one dimension of power. Our strength is not in size, nor in brute force. It is in ingenuity, adaptability, and strategy. You have seen what one ship can do. Imagine a species that has mastered its mind as its weapon. That is humanity. The alien delegation exchanged uneasy glances. Every species had underestimated humans and now they were forced to reconsider. You seek parity? Tino asked carefully. Do you wish to join the assembly as equals? Elias tilted his head, eyes piercing. We seek understanding first. Peace if it serves mutual benefit. And if necessary, defense, because humans do not yield when cornered. Clorin whispered to Vetra, Captain, they speak with the confidence of a species that can survive anything. They are not bluffing. I have studied this human, and I fear he is right. Vetra's fury met the cold logic of reality. We cannot underestimate them again. But we cannot strike either. Not yet. Over the next cycle, humans and aliens engaged in tense diplomacy. The humans shared knowledge selectively, demonstrating capabilities while holding back full potential. They showcased technological ingenuity, not by brute power but through creativity. Shields that reconfigured under pressure, propulsion systems that used gravitational currents, sensors that predicted enemy maneuvers. The assembly observed in awe and trepidation. For the first time, a species had forced them to consider intelligence, adaptability, and cunning as weapons as potent as fleets and armies. But not everyone welcomed this revelation. Hidden among the assembly's ranks, factions plotted to test humanity further, to corner them deliberately, hoping to provoke the species into revealing its limits. They did not yet understand that humans thrived in such conditions. Elias, sensing the undercurrents, addressed his crew quietly, They want to corner us. Let them try. Every move they make against us will be met with adaptation. We turn their expectations against them. Humans survive, humans endure, humans dominate, not because we are the strongest but because we think differently. We are dangerous because we are unpredictable. As the negotiation cycle ended, a shocking transmission arrived from a distant sector. Multiple alien fleets had mobilized, forming a coalition under the banner of the Assembly to confront humanity. The galaxy was moving to test the humans further, to push them into a corner and see if their legendary adaptability held true. Elias's green eyes gleamed with quiet determination. They don't understand. Humans are never truly cornered. We fight, we outthink, and we survive. And sometimes, we turn survival into victory. The horizon slipped from the asteroid shadows, ready to meet the approaching fleets. But this time the humans were not alone. Across the stars, species that had secretly observed the humans began to reconsider alliances, weighing intellect over intimidation, strategy over brute force. The stage was set for a confrontation that would redefine galactic politics, challenge assumptions about power, and reveal why humans were truly dangerous when cornered. And in the silent expanse of space, the horizon moved forward, carrying a species whose mind was sharper than any weapon the galaxy had ever known. The darkness of space was shattered by streaks of light. Hundreds of ships, representing multiple alien species, converged on the coordinates of the horizon. What had begun as a single human scout mission had become a test, a trap designed to force humanity into a corner. But humans did not fear corners. They thrived in them. Sensors are picking up at least 70 hostile vessels, Lieutenant Aryachin said, her tone calm as she studied the displays. Multiple classes, multiple species, fully coordinated. They've learned from the Zorith debacle. This is serious. Commander Elias Hart stood at the helm, his hands resting lightly on the console. Serious is good, he said, voice steady. They expect us to panic. They expect us to fail. Let's prove them wrong. Dalton, the ship's engineer, frowned. Captain, even with all our tricks, 70 ships? We can't outgun them conventionally. It'll be suicide if... Conventional is what they count on, Elias interrupted. We don't fight conventionally. Humans don't fight conventionally. Aria's fingers flew across the tactical display. The asteroid field nearby wasn't just a hiding spot, it was the first element of their strategy. We can use the gravitational anomalies to create choke points. Their formation is massive, they'll struggle to maneuver through the densest sectors without colliding. Good, Elias said. Now set the decoys and ready the ion dispersers. We're going to make them chase shadows, ghosts, and calculations they can't process. The alien fleets arrived in formation, confident in their numbers, their weaponry, their experience. They had underestimated humans before, and paid for it. Vetra, leading the Zorith contingent, snarled as she observed the human ship gliding through the asteroid field. Where is their fleet? There is only one. How can they manipulate our forces so perfectly? Clorin hissed beside her. It is not just their movement. Their coordination, their timing, it is impossible. They anticipate us. Every maneuver. The Horizon launched the first strike, though no weapons fired. Quantum decoys flickered into existence, scattering throughout the asteroid field. Alien sensors detected dozens of targets. Weapons were split, firepower wasted. As the fleet scrambled to correct targeting, the humans darted between asteroids, invisible but omnipresent. Focus on the ion bursts, Elias commanded. Disrupt propulsion in waves. Every ship that slows gives us leverage. In minutes, several alien vessels spun helplessly, trapped in microgravity anomalies and ion interference. Smaller human-controlled drones emitted EMP pulses, shutting down weapon systems without harming crews. The aliens realized their raw power was ineffective. Humans fought with minds sharper than their lasers. Vetra roared. Concentrate fire. Target that single ship. Do not allow it to survive. Captain, they're predicting us again, Chlorine said, alarmed. Every time we adjust formation they counter it immediately. They understand us better than we understand ourselves. Then we adapt further, Elias said, eyes gleaming. Arya, open subspace communications with the Clithery observers. Let's see who else has been watching quietly. Prepare to coordinate indirect support if necessary. Humans have allies too. The battlefield became a chessboard. Every alien tactic was anticipated, countered, and turned against them. Human drones lured the enemies into collision courses, gravitational anomalies were exploited like traps in a maze, and sensor interference created illusions of dozens of ships where only one existed. Then came the boldest move. Elias ordered the Horizon to split its signature using quantum projection. Alien sensors now perceived an entire fleet emerging from the asteroid field. The humans struck from multiple angles simultaneously, disabling weapons arrays and propulsion systems. Ships collided, shields overloaded, chaos reigned. The alien commanders were stunned. Impossible. How can a single vessel manipulate so many outcomes simultaneously? It's their mind, whispered Chlorine, horrified. They calculate probabilities, anticipate strategies, exploit weaknesses, and they do it faster than any machine. Faster than any fleet. They are dangerous. Amid the chaos, Elias transmitted a message directly to the coalition. Observe carefully. This is what humans do when threatened. We do not retreat. We do not surrender. We adapt. We survive. We fight with brains as well as courage, and sometimes, with courage as part of our brains. The effect was immediate. Fear rippled through the fleet. Ships slowed, commanders hesitated, and coordination collapsed. Entire squadrons faltered as humans anticipated every move. The aliens were being outthought, outmaneuvered, and outclassed, not by technology but by intellect. Even Vetra, furious and humiliated, recognized the truth. Her mandibles clicked in disbelief. They are masters of strategy. They are monsters when cornered. By the end of the engagement, not a single human ship had been destroyed. The alien coalition had suffered heavy damage, with dozens of ships incapacitated or forced into retreat. Humans had turned overwhelming odds into victory through intellect, adaptability, and cunning. In the aftermath, whispers spread across the galaxy. A species underestimated could topple fleets with nothing but mind and creativity. Humans were no longer just a curiosity, they were a force to be reckoned with. Elias Hart looked at his crew, exhausted but triumphant. Well, he said, leaning back, I think the galaxy has finally started to understand why humans are dangerous when cornered. Arya Chin smiled faintly. And yet, they still haven't seen our full potential. Elias's eyes gleamed. They never will, not until it's too late. The Horizon drifted through the stars, a single vessel that had rewritten the rules of engagement and left an entire coalition humbled, terrified, and in awe. Humanity had proven its cunning, resilience, and ingenuity. And across the galaxy the word spread, underestimate humans at your peril. The galaxy was watching. Reports of the Battle of the Shadow Sector had spread faster than light through trading routes, communications relays, and observer drones. Every species in the assembly whispered in fear and awe of a single human ship, and its crew. One vessel had bested fleets. One species had shattered assumptions. But humans were not done yet. A week after the engagement, the assembly convened again, this time not to debate but to negotiate, or at least attempt to control what they no longer understood. Delegates crowded the chambers, their forms flickering as holograms across vast viewing platforms. At the center, a human delegation appeared. Elias Hart, flanked by his crew, confident, calm, unshaken by the collective scrutiny of the galaxy's most powerful species. Humans, said High Ambassador Terrell of the Crichton Concord, his tone measured, Your actions have unsettled the assembly. Many fear your capabilities, yet none fully understand them. Why? Elias's gaze swept across the chamber, green eyes piercing, unwavering. Because understanding requires observation, patience, and humility. Too often, species judge others by size, weaponry, or history. Humans are dangerous not because we seek war, but because when we are cornered, we think differently. And thinking differently is a weapon. A murmur swept through the assembly. Many species had underestimated humans. Now, many feared the consequences of that underestimation. Vetra's hologram flickered angrily. We cornered them. We threw fleets at them. And yet they survived. A single vessel. Explain yourselves, human. You are not meant to withstand us. Elias's lips curled into a faint smile. We survive because we anticipate, adapt, and exploit weaknesses. Strength is not only firepower. Strength is intelligence. Strength is creativity. And strength is courage. Corner a human, and you awaken potential you cannot measure, until it's too late. The chamber went silent. Every ambassador could sense the truth. Humans were not conquerors by instinct, yet they had a power unmatched by conventional metrics. Then came the twist. Elias activated a subspace signal that projected an unexpected revelation. Behind him, hidden in the void beyond the assembly, hundreds of human research and exploration vessels were quietly assembling. They were not warships, at least not yet, but their numbers and coordination suggested a network, a reach, a presence that could not be ignored. Gasps echoed across the holographic platforms. The galaxy realized that what they had faced in the shadow sector was not a single anomaly. It was a sign of a species capable of orchestrating fleets, strategies, and intelligence on a scale no one had predicted. Every human, Elias continued, is capable of adaptation. Every human learns. Every human contributes to collective survival. You saw what one ship can do. Imagine what humanity, united by purpose, can accomplish. We do not seek conquest, but we will defend ourselves, and when necessary, we will ensure our survival by any means required. Vetra hissed, mandibles snapping. This is arrogance, bluffing. They cannot. Do not mistake our confidence for arrogance, Elias said. It is calculation, observation, strategy. You are witnessing the human gambit: anticipate, adapt, outthink. Always. Across the assembly, factions whispered, debated, and argued. Some advocated caution, urging diplomacy and alliances. Others plotted to challenge humans, curious to test their limits. But every calculation faltered. Humans had proven repeatedly that prediction alone could not contain them. And then the final shock came. Using a sophisticated array of quantum projections and subspace analysis, the horizon revealed hidden weaknesses in the coalition fleets. What had appeared to be impenetrable formations now had critical gaps, logistical vulnerabilities, and exploitable inefficiencies. In effect, humans had taught themselves not only how to survive, they had learned how to neutralize overwhelming force without firing a single destructive shot. The assembly erupted in debate. They are not only clever, Tyrell whispered. They are apex strategists. They do not fight like other species. They fight like predators of intellect. Elias turned to his crew quietly. They'll try to corner us again. They always do. But humans do not merely survive corners. We turn them into opportunities. Every weakness they reveal will become ours. Every attack they plan will be anticipated. And when they think the game is theirs, we will decide the rules. Aryachin nodded. Captain, are we prepared for what comes next? Elias's gaze swept across the holographic stars outside the horizon. Prepared? No. Humans are never fully prepared. But we are ready. When the galaxy forces us into a corner, we do not panic. We think, we adapt, we dominate. That is who we are. The revelation had sent ripples across the galaxy. Secret observers, alien diplomats, and even rival factions began recalculating the balance of power. Humanity was no longer underestimated. They were feared, respected, and, most importantly, recognized as a species whose intellect, adaptability, and unpredictability could overturn centuries of assumptions about power. And somewhere deep in the shadows, Vetra whispered to Clorin, her mandibles trembling with a mix of fear and awe. We have faced the humans. We thought we understood them. We were wrong. They are monsters when cornered. Elias turned back to his crew aboard the horizon, voice quiet but resolute. The galaxy has seen a glimpse of humanity's potential. The challenge ahead is greater than ever. But that is exactly where we thrive. We are dangerous not because we seek to dominate, but because we cannot be underestimated. Not now. Not ever. In the silent void of space, the horizon glided forward, carrying a species whose minds were sharper than any weapon the galaxy had ever conceived, whose courage matched their intellect, and whose unpredictability had begun to rewrite the rules of interstellar politics. And the galaxy was only beginning to realize the true cost of cornering a human. The void of space had never felt heavier. Hundreds of alien ships converged on the horizon and the hidden human network. This was no longer a test. This was the galaxy's attempt to eliminate what it could not understand, a species underestimated, yet capable of turning the impossible into reality. Scanners indicate nearly 400 hostile vessels, Lieutenant Arya Chin said, her voice calm, but her eyes betrayed the tension that gripped the crew. They've coordinated better than ever. They know our tactics, at least they think they do. Elias Hart, standing at the helm, didn't flinch. Then we give them a new lesson, he said quietly. Humans are dangerous not because we attack first, but because we adapt, innovate, and survive when the odds are impossible. The alien fleets formed a crescent, attempting to squeeze the humans into the shadow sector, a trap designed to overwhelm and crush any vessel caught inside. Their firepower was devastating, their numbers overwhelming. Yet humans did not panic, they had never needed numbers to win. Arya, deploy quantum decoys in a trisector formation. Dalton, prepare the gravitational pulse grid. Everyone else, execute adaptive evasive maneuvers, Elias commanded. His voice was calm, precise, like a conductor guiding a symphony of destruction. The battlefield became a blur of light, shadow, and strategy. Humans exploited every weakness. Asteroid fields turned into kill zones, gravitational anomalies became shields, and every alien calculation was countered before it could take effect. What seemed chaotic to the enemy was actually the pinnacle of human coordination. Vetra, watching from her command ship, growled in disbelief. They are everywhere, and nowhere. Their ship multiplies in our sensors. Our weapons misfire. They are human, Clorin whispered, stunned. And humans do not surrender. The horizon unleashed its first offensive, but not in the way the aliens expected. There were no destructive blasts, no annihilation. Instead, precision disruptions disabled hundreds of ships simultaneously, collapsing shields, scrambling navigation, and turning their own formations against them. Ships collided, engines overloaded, entire squadrons were incapacitated, all without a single human casualty. Elias's eyes swept the battlefield. They think they can overwhelm us. They cannot. Humans think differently. Humans adapt. Humans survive, and sometimes we win before the enemy even knows the battle has begun. Then came the boldest move. Using subspace quantum projection, the horizon transmitted a complex, layered illusion across the enemy fleet. Dozens of human vessels appeared where none existed. Entire squadrons seemed to materialize, converging from multiple angles simultaneously. Alien commanders struggled to maintain coordination, their formations collapsing under an invisible storm of strategy. Captain, they're reacting, Arya said. Their ships are splitting fire across phantom fleets. Shields are failing. Navigation systems are collapsing. Good, Elias said, voice low and steady. Now we finish it. With precise timing, the horizon triggered gravitational pulses that guided disabled alien ships into collision courses with each other. Chain reactions erupted across the battlefield. Explosions lit the void, but only as consequences of enemy error. The humans had orchestrated chaos without firing a destructive shot. The galaxy was witnessing a species turning intellect into an apex weapon. From the assembly, representatives watched in stunned silence. Even Tyrell, the wise Crichton ambassador, whispered to himself, "They are monsters of the mind. They have no equal." Vetra's mandibles clicked in fury and fear. Her pride shattered. They are unstoppable. But Elias wasn't done. Activating the subspace network, he broadcast a message across the remaining fleets. Humans do not conquer lightly. We do not strike without reason. But we will defend ourselves, our people, and our principles. We are humans. And when cornered, we are dangerous beyond measure. The effect was immediate. Panic spread. Fleets faltered, coordination collapsed, and the remaining ships retreated into hyperspace. Humanity had won not through destruction, but through ingenuity, foresight, and the disciplined use of intellect as a weapon. The horizon drifted silently through the remnants of the battlefield. Elias turned to his crew, green eyes gleaming. The galaxy has finally learned the truth. Humans cannot be underestimated. Humans cannot be predicted. Humans dominate when cornered. Arya Chin smiled faintly. And yet, this is just the beginning. Dalton, wiping sweat from his brow, laughed quietly. They'll remember this battle for generations. They'll never underestimate humans again. Vetra, in hiding, whispered to herself, mandibles trembling, "We faced them, and we survived only because they allowed it. Cornered humans are monsters. Monsters unlike any other species in the galaxy." Across the galaxy, observers whispered the same truth. The human species had revealed its apex potential. They were not the strongest in terms of weaponry. They were not the largest in terms of numbers. But they were the most dangerous in terms of intelligence, adaptability, and courage under impossible odds. Elias Hart looked out at the stars, the endless void of space stretching before him. We fight for survival, for exploration, for understanding. But always remember, when humans are cornered, we do not falter. We do not surrender. We adapt. We overcome. And we prevail. The crew of the Horizon nodded, knowing the galaxy had changed forever. Humanity had survived, outwitted, and emerged victorious, not through sheer power but through ingenuity, strategy, and the unyielding human spirit. And somewhere in the dark reaches of space, the galaxy trembled at the realization. Cornered humans were not just dangerous, they were unstoppable. The stars shimmered, the void hummed with possibility, and humanity's story had reached a new apex. The galaxy would never forget it,